As I mentioned, this was on a Monday night when Rick Clarke came over and started his attack against me, my integrity, my credibility, everything. On what? He didn't have anything. He wasn't there to ask questions. He wasn't there for the children. He was there only one purpose, and that was to find reasons why I should not have my children in any way, shape, or form. Well, needless to say, as the years went by in this divorce, more of Rick Clarke and who he really was came out. This was not in his obituary, but we'll keep going. That was a Monday. On Thursday of that week, I had the first court hearing in relation to determine what kind of custody. The federal court of appeals have ruled throughout the country that the testimony of a guardian ad litem can be cross-examined. Number one. Number two, that a guardian ad litem is not allowed to give any testimony in any way, shape, or form until he has completed 100% all of his report concerning the children or whatever. Well, needless to say, Judge Damon Cantrell, who in the future will be joining Mr. Rick Clarke in eternity with James Allen Williamson, Millie Odie, Wilma Palmer, David Ewell, Cliff Smith, and everyone who spoke a lie, made a false accusation, and so on against me and my family, my boys, and even my ex. Well, anyway. So needless to say, Rick Clarke was allowed to give testimony when he didn't have a report. He refused to answer any questions or cross-examination by me. The judge and Senator James Williamson, at that time he was a senator, today he's just another fleeceback scumbag of a lawyer who sucks off as a parasite from fathers. I'll have a separate video for James Allen soon on this blog. But anyway, needless to say, every time that I would try to talk, Judge Damon Cantrell would basically tell me to shut up. Was it a trial? It was a kangaroo court if I ever saw one. It didn't take much to figure that one out. Anyway. I didn't get any kind of custody on my children. It was given 100% to her. Now, do you want to know the reason why Rick Clarke said I should not get my children at all? Shouldn't have any custody? This is what he stated. That Jaime Alvaro Bourbon, he called me James, should not have custody of his children because I did not have a dining room table. Let me repeat that for you. This family man took the father of 3 children, my 2 boys, Isaac and Christian, and my daughter, he took their father away from them because I didn't have a dining room table. Has it sunk in as to the type of individual that this Richard Clarke was? Needless to say, throughout the divorce, many other things were happening. I'm just going to be real quick because I really don't want this to go back past 2 videos in relation to Rick Clarke. Rick Clarke also got my wife, along with James Allen Williamson and Judge Damon Clarke, to commit perjury, file false documents, and a fraudulent protective order against me. Rick Clarke played a part in having fraudulent arrest warrants for misdemeanor crimes put against me by Judge Damon Cantrell that never occurred. Rick Clarke, along with James Allen Williamson and Judge Damon Cantrell, had many ex parte hearings, both physically present and on the phone, concerning this case, which are 100% totally illegal, unlawful, violation of all due process against me. I was incarcerated by the actions of these individuals, but thank goodness that the Oklahoma Supreme Court still has, I hope it still has, some decency and they forced them to get me out of jail because of the blatant, malicious, fraudulent prosecution, warrants, court proceedings, ex parte hearings, fraudulent documents that were filed against me by my ex-wife and or James Allen Williamson and or Damon Cantrell and or Rick Clarke and others against me. For example, on this website, you are going to see the fraudulent protective order that was filed against me by my ex-wife at the urging of her attorney, then Senator James Williamson, and in which they were ordered by Judge Damon Cantrell to do so against me, even though I had committed no violations that would merit a fraudulent order to be filed against me, whereby now I have not seen my children in 4+ years. Rick Clarke played a part in all of this, in every way, shape, or form. In the protective order that is on this website, if you look closely at it, you will see, as you read the fine print, or I should say the print of where my wife wrote the reasons for the protective order, she put on there that the reason she took out the protective order against me was because Judge Damon Cantrell had called her attorney, Senator James Allen Williamson, and told him to get my wife to take out a fraudulent order. Yet there was nothing that I had done, such as physical threat, verbal threat, of any kind in any way, shape, or form whatsoever to deserve a protective order against me. But Damon Cantrell wanted it. Why? Because he had been humiliated for the scumbag of a judge that should be impeached and removed from the bench for having my ex-wife commit perjury. Not only in the filing of this document, but also in the actual protective order hearing, she committed perjury, along which James Allen Williamson and Rick Clarke put her in that position to commit perjury and to try to talk them way out of what happened in relation to what my wife wrote in this document. Because, see, folks, what ended up happening was very simple. James Allen Williamson had called my wife up and told her to go ahead and get out a protective order against me. And she said, well, he didn't done. Okay, what do I need to do? He sent her over to the women's victim thing, a feminist, what us in the Father's Rights group call a feminist Nazi group. Ooh, my goodness. Nazi? Yes. Feminist group out there who has, for many years and continues to do so today, filed fraudulent protective orders, restraining orders against many, many fathers, just because they know that even if the woman gets caught filing them, the judges won't do anything against them. But God forbid, Jehovah forgive that if a man was to do that, he'd go to jail. But this is what they had her to do. Now, what happened at this women's group? Let's see, Violence Against Women's Services that is there on Harvard Street in Tulsa. Very simple. They asked my wife, my ex, well, what did your husband do? She said nothing. But then afterwards, they said, well, you can't take out a protective order against a man unless he's done something, either physically threaten you, verbal threats against you, or the children. Without that, you cannot take out a protective order against a man or your ex. So what my wife said in court was that I had threatened to kill my children, which was a blatant lie in every way, shape, or form. But they needed something in order to justify, or I should say, kiss ass of Judge Damon Cantrell. All this is known by Judge Millie Odie, who had the nerve and the audacity, this woman judge. She knew what was going on in that courtroom. She should not have given the order. But you know what? Who knows what her and Cantrell have up the sleeve or up their skirt, so to speak, because she gave it anyway, knowing it was fraudulent. All you had to do was read the protective order paperwork, and I will continue with this on video number 3. So hang on, because it's getting better, isn't it?